finally it's here, guys, in my hands. Election 1 and 2, released by Chameleon Films, number 4 and 5 of the Hong Kong-based lineup. And this edition looks absolutely fantastic. I've not even opened it yet, and I'm already in the aura of this presentation. It looks phenomenal. We have our 2 main leading cast members. Election 1 and 2 has been something highly anticipated for myself, being the fact that it is a Johnnie To double bill. Hell to the yes. Fantastic. Can't wait. I'm a huge Johnnie To fan. I think the people at Chameleon Films know that. I think my Hong Kong fans on the channel know that. And I have not seen either one of these films. I know, shocking. I know these are essential Hong Kong movies and essential Johnnie To films to watch, which I'm very excited to check out both of these films very soon and give you the deep dive, not only into the edition, but also to the films themselves. But let's have a look at the edition. We have a gorgeous new slipcase, which is something that if you watch my previous videos for, they didn't do slipcases until recently. They've implemented these brand new slipcase editions, which is absolutely fantastic. So if you're a fan of slipcase editions from Eureka, Arrow, for instance, they have listened to your feedback on Facebook, Twitter, and they have provided with a limited to 500 copies of the slipcases for previous releases. So if you have got previous versions like Exile, for instance, you can put the slipcase on this edition and get it all nice and matching on the shelf. So if you want to check out these original artwork slipcases, please go and check them out. So I will dive into this in just a few minutes or so. But to the edition itself, let's dive in. We have special features. We have high definition, digitally restored of both movies. Now I know there was a bit of delay with this film. They went back and kind of tweaked it and kind of did some more kind of cleanup in terms of the picture quality. These aren't 4K scan editions, but they are the best possible transfers and kind of reconstruction of the film's digital reconstructions that you're possibly going to get. We have brand new audio commentary by Frank Jen and John Childs, Hong Kong experts. We have the Festival 2016 Masterclass with Johnnie To. Always looking to see more interviews with Johnnie To. We have audio recordings hosted by Film Historicum. We have interviews with Johnnie To, Simon Yap, all the cast and crew, fantastic. With the making of Election, a photo gallery, TV spots, and theatrical trailer ×2, fantastic. And then Election 2, we have again brand new audio commentary from the same people, Frank Jen and John Childs. We have supplement audio commentary by Frank Jen. So what does that mean? It's so interesting. And there's a bit of extra solo venture from him. New interview with composers. That's a brand new exclusive extra on this edition. We also have a new video essay on the Election films, which if it's the same person that I did the previous editions on the Johnnie To films, that's going to be something really special to check out. Interviews with Johnnie To. We have a lot of interviews with the cast and crew. Making of Election 2, photo gallery, TV spots, teaser trailers, and theatrical trailers. Dive into this bad boy and let's see what we've got. Definitely something I want to mention. If you are a fan of Chameleon Films in this edition, please go and check them out on the official website. There will be a link to the. So this is nice and shiny. There we go. So nice hard material. That's great there. Looks nice. Nice and sturdy. I like it. There we go. Put it to one side. And we have the edition itself. Oh, we have the first film original artwork, I believe. And we have a bit of a synopsis there. Now let's dive in. Ooh, look at that. We have Election 1 and Election 2 on the back there. So let's dive in. Disc 1. And we have Disc 2, Election. And we also have the booklet, which I'll just look into in one moment. Let's put that there. And we also have the alternative artwork, so you can switch between the two, whatever your favorite is, Election 1 or Election 2. You can put which one you want, which is great. And we have a brilliant deep inside booklet, which is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to reading this and getting a bit of insight into the making of behind the scenes of it. So the booklet itself is an extra feature by itself. It really is. The amount of attention to detail goes into these booklets are absolutely phenomenal, and they really give you a good perspective and insight from a modern perspective how these films are made, what the reception was, what was the thinking process of making these films. So it's very exciting to check out that even by itself alongside all the brand new extra features. The actual casing itself looks really fantastic, it looks really cool. And one of the things I do appreciate as well is, if you know I've noticed already, no stiffication. One of the things I absolutely love about Chameleon Films release releases is that they don't have stiffication on their editions, and even on the main slipcase, nothing, absolutely nothing, which is an extra plus. We just get the actual poster, the design. We know what the film is. We don't need certification what it is. Absolutely phenomenal. So here you go, Election 1 and 2. I'm going to dive right into this bad boy very soon, guys. But before I do that, let's have a look at the slipcase editions. We have slipcases for all 3 films, which they did. Number 1, Breaking News. Number 2, Summer Time Travel Blues. And number 3, Exiled, which is the example right here, guys, which is my favourite from their last 3 lineup releases. I love the edition, love the extras, love the film. My personal favourite in terms of the 3 they did prior. So let's open these slipcases. Let's have a look and let's see what it's all about. Okay, let's open this up now. Ooh, I like it. Okay, so that's the original, one of the original artworks, which I don't think I've seen that before. It looks really cool. Just have a quick look at the other 2 before I put it on. So let's open this one up. We have Breaking News. Very sturdy, I love that. It's great. Okay, Breaking News original artwork. Looks good. And then we have Summer Time Travel Blues. There you go. So let's put this one on. There we go. We have Exiled, a nice slipcase edition, which let's have a look, compare on the shelf. Ah, doesn't that look good? Doesn't that look absolutely gorgeous? So if you guys are interested in Election 1 and 2, please go and check them out on their official website where you can purchase it right now. If you're interested in the slipcase editions that you previously bought from the previous 3 films, they are available on the site right now. Again, limited to 500 copies, so please be fast on them. Of course, there'll be a link in the description below.
古惑仔唔用腦，一世都係古惑仔。有多幫過，儲錢出嚟。時代唔同，咩都係講生意。
So here we are finally talking about Johnnie To's Election. Wow, this has been a big one for me. This has been a big expectation. A lot of hype on this one. I know this is an essential Hong Kong viewing experience and an essential Hong Kong film. Not just Johnnie To fans or Johnnie To films, but just a Hong Kong film in general. This is a very significant film that plays a big part within Hong Kong cinema and inspired from a lot of other movies. You know, Johnnie To takes a lot of liberties from other films, and people have definitely ripped off this film for sure, knowing what I know now. Now, both Election and Election 2 was released in 2005 and 2006, so 1 year apart from each other, so this is definitely intended to be a 2-part. Diving into the film itself, the storyline is basically about black society. It's about organised crime. It's about all the kind of tryout kind of gangs within Hong Kong, all the different kind of fractures, all the kind of structure system that goes on being a kind of a godfather, the kind of the chairman, the leader of all organised crime. It's pretty crazy, but it really plays it very seriously in this one. And this is a very interesting kind of portrayal of that system. How does organised crime kind of work within all these kind of different types of characters? And you know, being the fact this is as they say in the film, this has been a tradition for over 100 years, and this idea of that they come from very, not say humble beginnings, but the initial purpose of the order itself, in terms of the kind of the kind of ritualistic kind of nature of it, with doing the kind of the batons and the saying, the wording kind of thing, and this idea of, you know, if I betrayed my brother, then I would want 1,000 knives in me. The film has this really wonderful kind of very rich mythology, this kind of concept of rules and consequences. You know where I'm going with this, guys. Dines all the way back to the kind of the dynasty kind of area, and this idea of working together for not only betterment of yourself and kind of your clan or your kind of personal wealth, but also doing something noble in a weird way. And they kind of lost their way alongside, and people become greedy or become selfish, or they're kind of, I'm number one, I'm top dog, I'm show me face, that type of thing. You know, I am all power. And this idea of all these characters in this 2-hour movie struggling to maintain power despite their status, despite how many years they've done this kind of service. And we have multiple generations all in this kind of pecking order, all based on a system. And I find it really fascinating that the film has all these different characters, and yet at one point or another they're all trying to kill each other, they're trying to screw each other over, or they're playing kind of favourites, or they're taking bribes, thinking, oh, I want to vote for him, I want to vote for that person, and they're all trying to find their angle. And it's interesting that some characters do get close to actually killing each other, and yet they have to become brothers or let aside their differences because circumstances have changed. The position of power is shifted in one way or the other. And this film is a pressure cooker, slow burn, engaging, stylistic, very particular thriller that I fucking love. The film's essentially about two characters. We have Simon Yup's character and Tony Lamp on the other side, Big D. And we have our supporting character, Lewis Clue, who is in the poster as well for the edition itself. And he is a kind of the observer kind of character, but I'll get to him in a minute. The film essentially is about these two main kind of characters, the two positions of power and their struggle to maintain the power itself, and all of the people kind of scrambling, or it's going to be all-out war. And this idea of kind of Big D, Tony Long's character, who is such loud, eccentric, over the top, very aggressive, nasty, someone who's very quick to violence and swearing at people, and characters that basically actually despise him and hate him. There's even a great scene where he's on a boat through the portion of the film, and one of the people he basically mocks, or one of the he kind of mocks one of the characters. They're basically saying, "Is the food not good enough for you? Fine, eat the spoon, eat the plate," kind of thing. And he does. He starts smashing the kind of the spoon up and starts chewing on kind of it, and out of pure kind of to prove a point, to say something, hey, look, I'm not afraid. You give me an order, I've just taken it, I've done it. I've proven my loyalty, my fealty, as you would say. And the film really builds up this idea of kind of, what people are willing to do, what sides people are willing to take. And its cinematography for this film, the scoring for this film feels calm, respectful, collective. It feels just right in terms of how the approach to the story and the characters are presented. And being the fact this isn't an action film, this is a straight up thriller. Most of the film barely has any action or any kind of semblance of kind of violence up until very specific moments. Only when it serves the purpose for the character or serves the purpose of the story that they introduce some gunplay or maybe some knife work. But most of the film is a straight up thriller from start to start, and it's very engaging. It's very interesting to see how everything plays out, and pressure cooker that's keep on building, but it never explodes, never blows off the lid. And it's surprising for a film that could have this giant massive action act finale, or it could do this grand big scale kind of gangster kind of war. It never does that. It keeps it sort of classy in a weird way. It keeps it on the same level, on the down low. I feel like Johnnie is definitely inspired from Godfather this time around. I definitely think he's taken some ideas and taking some kind of, inspiration. It actually concludes the main story within the first kind of hour and a half. The last half an hour of the film feels like an epilogue, feels like a bit of a time jump, and where these characters are now, what's happened, and where we're going to end the film at is quite interesting and quite dark. I find it quite interesting as well on the, this is a category 3 film, not because of the violence or anything else, it's because of the inner workings of tryout kind of operations. That's so fascinating, the fact that we've seen these bonkers category 3 films, and yet this film gets away with the tone, the storyline, and the themes of the film, and has to be a category 3 based on that. It's interesting as well on the audio comment I've mentioned that they talk about this idea of there's a alternative ending out there. Basically, a character is undercover cop and arrests the main character at the end, which I think is quite fascinating, and definitely that kind of police procedural type of Hong Kong, bad guys can't get away with type ending. Louis Koo in the film is a great kind of observer kind of character, someone who's kind of observing both at their best and their worst, with Simon Yap and Tony Long's character Big D, and he's kind of the guy in the middle. He's someone who just wants to do a good job, someone who works for the organisation, but also is educational, who's thinking and wants to show face and be respectful, and what's he get out of this scenario? He manages to be a quite an important character for Simon Yip's character, and there's definitely a great exchange between those two, which I absolutely love, and how that's played out is beautiful. Simon Yip in the film, definitely one of my favourite performances of him. I think he's absolutely phenomenal in this film, considering he's the counter opposite of Big D's kind of character, where he's calm, collective. He's someone who's very nice, he's approachable, he's firm, he's a leader, he's someone who is very happy with his team and his his crew, and he's someone who never gets angry, never kind of shows rage or anything, and tries to always find the right angle, the right deal, or tries to find a peaceful resolution. And you don't really see much bite from him up until a certain point, which I'll leave to the film. But he plays a fantastic character, a great role, one of my favourite performances within Simon Yap's kind of career up to this point. I think all the actors are on point. I think a lot of the supporting cast are brilliant. They really sell this story, rebuild this mythology, and I thoroughly enjoyed what the themes they're trying to film, or even the kind of the cinematography towards the end of this kind of monkey forest, and what the actions are happening in those scenes, how it's edited, cut together. Phenomenal, really clever, good attention to detail there, which I really do. This is a masterclass film. Everything's on point. This is one of Johnnie To's absolute best, definitely up there in my top kind of high tier Johnnie To movies for sure. And I cannot wait to dive into Election 2.
既是洪门兄弟，应该以和为贵。
有損傷嘅辦事，大家點諗啊？
Now we're on to Election 2, released in 2006, directed by legendary Johnnie To, of course, and this is a part 2 continuation of the first movie. Now there will be some minor spoilers in this review, so if you haven't seen the first one, please keep that in mind by watching this review, because there will be some continuation spoilers that I've talked about in terms of the ending of the first movie, and some plot points that I will be mentioning throughout this review. Please keep that in mind. Now this is a very different type of movie. This is shockingly quite different compared to the first movie in many different aspects, and it surprised me how much Johnnie To took a different direction with this, and had a different scorist for one, has a different kind of tone ultimately, even though it's about essentially the same type of story, but it's played very differently. I really do appreciate something like that. This isn't a carbon copy sequel. This is a much darker movie. It's much more of a horror movie in a lot of aspects, especially when it comes to the scoring. Well, as I mentioned, the first one, it's very calm, very collective, it's very kind of subtle, it's kind of, the music kind of is quiet, it's never kind of loud in your face, it's kind of just the slow building kind of pressure cooker. This one, it's almost like a horror movie. It's so kind of creepy in the shadows, the dirty kind of, of the organized crime and what people are willing to do to secure a vote or secure their position and power. And this movie takes a very different direction in terms of the ideas of election. Now, as established within the first movie, is that there is an election every 2 years, a new chairman, a new godfather, someone who is essentially god of all organised crime within that kind of, the territories, and has a lot of respect and has a lot of kind of influence over different kind of tryouts kind of thing. And this idea of kind of tradition and honour, and this idea of paving the way for a new person to come in, so fresh ideas, fresh perspectives, and this person can do what they want in 2 years, almost like in a presidential election, or kind of a prime minister in a weird way. You get a limited time of power, and then you move it on to someone else who brings in new ideas, who brings in a new fresh perspective. And this is something that Simon Yap was really fighting for in the first movie, and went to extreme lengths at the end of the movie to basically secure his position of power, and so to make sure he doesn't lose it within the events of the first movie. And he really fought really hard to get to that point, and you really understand who he is, and you get to know him. And then the shocking reveal at the end of the movie, where he kills Big D in a very nasty kind of blunt and kind of rage of kind of anger, is very primal. Surprising for his character to do something like that in terms of that pure act of violence, but it shows Simon Yap's character can do that. So he's willing to do that. He's willing to secure his place and his position no matter what, and he was willing to go to even to the extremes of something like Big D was willing to do, and kill not only one but two people in the span of half an hour. And this is reflecting on his son, and how his son views him, and how he wants to maintain that kind of influence and kind of in control of everything, and something he's been building up to, and he won't let anyone take that away from him. And this is all down to a kind of mention of Big D mentioning the idea of, hey, what happens if there's two chairmen? What happens if we just had like another person that runs alongside you? And this idea of splitting power, nope, did not like that, smashed him over the head and killed him. And this picks up 2 years later on, and this time we get the two main characters which is, of course, Simon Yap, and we have Louis Koo, who is known as Jimmy Boy in the film. And he is, as mentioned, a bit of a observer character in the first movie, someone who's just kind of educational, he's going to business school, he's someone who's using the tryout mainly as perks, as he says in this film, and he just wants to use it to influence his kind of, you know, range in the business, and he wants to kind of get influence over different areas, and he's a businessman, he's not a gangster, he doesn't want to be a gangster, he just joined up because it worked out quite nicely, and he doesn't mind doing a little bit of dirty work and a little bit of violence to get what he wants. But he's someone who in pure mind wants a family, wants a real estate, he wants to kind of, you know, get himself out there known legit money kind of thing. He doesn't want to do any kind of the nasty stuff that these other kind of, you know, gangster characters are doing, and this puts him in a very particular position because it is time for a new election and everyone wants Jimmy Boy to go for the chair, and this idea of Simon Yap is wanting to secure his next place, his next term as the new chairman, and he is in this one a lot more nasty. He's a sick motherfucker, that's what he is. Simon Yap in this one is absolutely fucking brilliant, and he is definitely showing his true colours in this one. He's definitely showing his true range of performance with this character and such desperation, because he fought really hard in the first movie. Now he's got to secure it in this one, and he's making kind of backwards deals. He's kind of using various kind of associates, called Jet for one, which is a character that I mentioned about eating the spoon. You know, hey look, you know, don't run next election, you know, I'll support you in the next one, but take out Jimmy Boy, take out this associate, take out this person. And again, everyone's making those backwards deals, everyone's making, you know, betraying each other, everyone's seeing what the best price is for my service in a sense. And even some of the characters that were in that inner circle with Simon Yap are getting screwed over in this one, or their alliances are not as kind of, you know, solid as they once thought. And it's surprising how some characters get treated like compared to what they did in the first movie, and this shows the desperation these characters are trying to do, and the depths they're willing to try and do this time around is even more shocking. And you know how Simon Yap was all about kind of being class and being collective and being supportive of tradition and rules kind of thing. In this one, he does not give a shit. He takes the baton, he gives it to someone else to basically hide, and he will not give up his power, he will not give up his position, and he is doing whatever he takes to basically secure that place. And there's other characters that do want to become chairman as well, and Jimmy Boy becomes really kind of goes for running of chairman because essentially it makes more business sense for him to do. He thinks, okay, I'll use that position for 2 years to basically influence my kind of, you know, real estate kind of range in different lands of the mainlands and different territories, and he can do business in different areas, and he makes a strong kind of foundation for that. But he is willing to get his hands dirty massively in this one, and he goes to some extreme lengths in terms of the violence. And this is what I mentioned about the horror aspect of the film, because the music for one is a lot more creepy, it's a lot more darker, there's a lot more nighttime sequences. You know, there's a lot more betrayals in this one compared to there was in the first one. He's really willing to do whatever it takes to get it done, and I won't say too much, but he really kind of puts the fear of God into a lot of people. And he you know, even one of the main characters that is a hired hitman who said, my price is non-negotiable, my price goes up, I don't care about your face, I care about money, and I will do what it takes to help you, but the price will go up and keep going up if it gets dangerous or it doesn't work out kind of thing. And even he says, you know, you're a sick fuck, you know, my price went up, you know, the things you're doing, the things you're acting on the film is absolutely insane. And it's a great performance also from Louis Koo, because it's just, you know, shows how much he's willing to go, even more so than obviously Simon Yap's character, to secure his position. And you know, this gets the idea of kind of the uncles and the kind of the older generation casting that vote. What's the point of all the squabbling and back and forth and, you know, scrambling for chairman power? You know, have your terms, be respected, live an old age, live a good life, and you know, what's the point of trying to keep fighting this out? It shows a very different kind of perspective on the different generational kind of, you know, viewpoints, and how the older generation back in the day kind of thing were nowhere near this level of kind of corrupt or kind of shady kind of thing. And what's the point of having all these sayings and these kind of, you know, traditional type things of, like, you know, not stabbing your brother in the back if you're gonna squabble and act like children in a sense. And that's what these characters are doing. They're acting like absolute spoiled brats and children. There's even a great sequence where a character similar to kind of Big D in the second movie, where he wants to become chairman, and he mentions this idea of or ones we just changed the rules, and ones we just had 2 chairmen instead. And Summer Yep's character just starts bursting out laughing like a sick fucker that he is, because the last person that mentioned it, he fucking killed. So it's kind of funny that people are saying similar things or having similar ideas, in this idea of, you know, the rules mean ultimately nothing by the end. This idea of respect and this idea of kind of showing face, and, you know, this kind of ordering pecking system is very paper thin and very crumbly kind of thing overall, and this plays a massive part into Act 3 of the film, which I won't get into, but it definitely shows how the system doesn't work, and how other people in terms of police force are using this idea to their advantage as well. It's something that was only briefly kind of mentioned in the first movie. Alliance deals and make sure there's no chaos on the streets, and, you know, whoever's position of power it is, make sure they maintain their kind of their lane, in the sense, you know. All the metaphors and visual flares throughout the film are very much apparent, and it very is subtle in a lot of aspects and very obvious in others. And being the fact the running time for this film is also an hour and a half compared to the 2-hour film the first film did. This film does not mess around. It does not kind of waste anyone's time. All the performances are fantastic. The cinematography, the scoring, the mood of the film is very much completely very different tonally compared to the first film. All bets are off kind of thing. Winners and losers. You've got Jimmy Ver versus Locke, and you've got a really interesting outcome overall. And even just when some characters do get killed in specific portions of the film, it kind of, that's it, it's done. It kind of moves on. It doesn't linger on it. It doesn't kind of go back to it. It doesn't go into this kind of melodrama. It's so that Election 2 is actually a better movie than the first one, but only by a slight margin. I think both films are in the same kind of level. I just slightly prefer the second one, but that's only because of knowing the events of the first movie. So it's definitely a part 1, part 2 type thing. It's basically a 3-hour-and-a-half movie, which definitely leaves on a very interesting note, which I won't get into in this review. But if there is going to be an Election 3, potentially, that's been rumoured by Johnnie To, I would be down for that, and I think that could work quite interesting. I think that could be a good retirement movie, you know, going out on Election 3, because you can absolutely do a continuation of this story, and I think there is one more movie you can do in this, and to see what tryout kind of organised crime would be like in modern 2023 would be phenomenal to see, and to see how that plays out, and to see what kind of new generational kind of thinking there would be, especially how what Jimmy Boy's status would be at that point, and what his family would be like, and what the tone would be like. I'll be very curious to see if Johnnie To is willing to take up that opportunity and to do something quite interesting, quite different. I think there could be a very different third entry in this one, and I'd be very curious to see. Very much similar to the Infernal Affairs series, where all 3 movies are quite different from each other. I think there definitely is one more entry you can do, but even if there isn't, this is a fantastic 2-parter and absolutely essential watching for sure for any Hong Kong fan, and any kind of gangster fan, any kind of fan of just great cinema in general. Election 1 and 2, absolutely check out, guys. As already shown within the unboxing for this and kind of showing the special features, this is a 5 out of 5 set. This is absolutely phenomenal. Not only the movies are high tier and kind of masterclass by themselves, which also does help a movies edition, I would say, but the packaging, I would say the artwork is absolutely phenomenal. I think it shows the kind of the mood very well. This idea of blood and white, I mean, the colour tones are all brilliant. As mentioned, I love the fantasy justifications on this edition. I think all the special features are absolutely phenomenal as well. The audio commentaries on both films are really great insight, and really going to gives you a bit more perspective on how these films were received, and the category 3, and some of the kind of alternative takes and alternative endings kind of thing, and how some characters are presenting some of the visual cues. It's a really insightful kind of extras going into the actual films themselves, and the booklet is something that it's a highlight for me. I know it's something I always love reading within these editions. It is absolutely phenomenal as well. As you can see there, it gives you a really good perspective on these films, and you know how it's seen from a kind of a modern lens. There's a great extra video essay, great booklet, great extras, great discs, great artwork overall. The fact you get double kind of reversible sleeves, so you can have your favourite film with Election 1, Election 2. Great slipcase edition, which is something new been added to kind of Chameleon Films' kind of lineup recently. This is an absolute essential Hong Kong pickup for sure. Please go and pick this up. Please go and check it out. This is definitely probably my new favourite Chameleon Films edition so far. So there you go, guys. It's been my thoughts and opinions on Election 1 and 2, directed by masterclass legendary Johnnie To. A fantastic edition from Chameleon Films in terms of the Blu-ray set. You get some fantastic new slipcases as well, which I have shown within the opening of this video. This is a 5-star Blu-ray edition. This is a 5-star movies. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for Chameleon Films for supporting the channel, and this has been a fantastic collaboration once again. Until next time, guys, I'm through with you. Bye for now.